might be that these teams have completely figured out Unknown, how to play against him, how to do really good, because it seems like he's been struggling a little bit in this season, but that could be balanced. That could just be the players are just absolutely cracked at him now. We have loaded in, and we do see that we have Obi playing on the Dark Lord, already on bat form and searching all the way across the map. We have been seeing a lot of people use Hound form a lot more as well, because you can track a little bit with scent orbs if the survivors are running around. So you have that small opportunity to catch somebody out with that as well. Although it appears that Obi hasn't found anybody just yet. He's still, oh, never mind. There we go. I spoke too soon. Already found the first chase onto Karma. Uses that though to try to catch up and try to get an early down as fast as possible.
Indeed, trying to go for Karma now and getting that first hook stage in as quick as possible, getting the pain rest potentially for the first denial of the generator progress, and then moving from there. Wolfie coming out again with the double dash here, but unfortunately slamming the hat here in the tile. That's going to be a little bit of a setback for the killer. A few extra seconds gained for our survivor. That's now going to be the pallet break here, giving the survivor a little bit of distance as well, but we are in a difficult spot, so we need to turn into Edgemat Andy, and Karma is going to take the Hellfire straight onto the floor. First generator coming out, always a good thing when we are talking about one gen in exchange for one hook stage. 6.5 hook stages, ladies and gentlemen. Ah no, this was for Unknown. Toby tricked me, our tournament analyst. Yeah, we are on the Dark Lord. Unknown is coming later. Obi here going to scout a little bit the area for the generators, taking the pop goes to Weasel. Interesting, he's keeping the pain rest for a little bit later into the game, trying to make sure that the regression in the back of his sleeve is staying a little bit longer, and I agree, he lost the first generator, he cannot change that, so it's actually smart to keep the stacks for now.
Aha, and we can see that our analysts in the background have told us that the average hook stages for Dark Lord is 9.3. So that's leaning towards the 4Ks. So that is potential that the Dark Lord can work for. We can see in the left UI that at least 2 generators are more than 50%. So Karma over here has decided to stay on this side of the map, but it's doing really good work. Does have decisive strike, so if the killer downs him faster than 60 seconds and picks him up, then he will have even more time to look forward to. Though Karma has already used his exhaustion perk, so it seems that he has decided that, yeah, he's staying over here, he's dying away from the generators. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3 generators done in this game so far, 2 left. We don't even have our tunnel out just yet. Karma's doing a fantastic job. This isn't even like insanely long chases, it's just correct dying positions away from where the survivors on the other team are working, so that they can get these gens done in peace. And Karma's on second stage, saved that decisive strike. However, we do know that there is an Ebony Mori in play during this season, so that decisive strike has potential to not even see any play whatsoever. That is an incredibly strong perk, but you know, Karma outlasted the 60 seconds, wasn't needing it at all. Obi now found a chase onto Renato, who is going to hop locker, forcing the killer to have to pull them out. It's going to be a waste of time. Yeah, Karma does get saved. Will we see any healing happen? We have for the people in play, just fast healing perks in general. Karma might be able to get away scot-free if they can stealth this or get healed or just be on the opposite side of the map from where Dracula finds them. Nope, it seems that Obi did find Karma, though this chase has to last, right? He does have decisive strike, about 30 seconds left. Karma could hop a locker to force it. We'll have to see. Takes an M1 hit, is going to hop locker, question marks. Doesn't seem so. Karma's just gonna go die in the corner. We'll have to see. You have to make sure you hop in a locker. All right, yeah, it seems like that's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. Will Obi pick? Or will he wait out these last few seconds? Seems like he's gonna waste out. Oh, no, it was so close. It was like 10 seconds. Now he's gonna get the decisive strike, potential to waste even more time.
I was about to say, if you have your entire team there, there must be someone who's having a timer for you, right? And your survivor team basically needs to tell you when you're playing killer how many seconds is left. Very unfortunate. When they are reviewing this later, they will probably agree that waiting a few more seconds would have been absolutely worth it, because what they are losing now is really, really tricky here. Karma will even be left by Obi now, because he needs to take care of the generators before he returning back towards the main building. That is a good time loss of round about 30 seconds here. Correction about the hook stages, 9.3 stages for the Dark Lord. So we do have a little bit more to do, and I don't feel like Obi was wasting a lot of time besides the decisive strike. That was very unfortunate here, but he's doing a good job. He pushed the survivors towards the edge of the map, got the downs relatively quickly together here, has the first elimination, but we are only having 2 generators left, and some of these objectives are already progressed further than 50%. So Obi needs to be extremely on point now, needs to find the next survivor immediately. That is done, check, and now we need a quick 2-tap onto Manu, but he manages to dodge the Hellfire, the Vault coming out. He still takes the injury over the window here, making it back towards the main building, but we're getting a little bit of distance and therefore a little bit of time. Should be generator number 4 ready to go. So it is going to be only 3 survivors. Elimination definitely counting towards Obi here. He is going to be more dangerous, has a higher chance keeping the survivors busy and away from the generators, but defending 3 generators is still going to be tricky if the survivor team is organized. And Manu just coming out of the locker here saying, hello, I take the injury straight back again. Not the best region to defend either. On the other hand, not horrible. I feel like Obi could work with this if it's a quick down, and that seems to be, yeah, that's going to be the case here.
Absolutely getting that quick down. The potential for this to be a 4K1 is still pretty high. OP does have 2 stacks of pain resonance, so that can cause huge regression on the generators. Yep, there it is. We see that 1 stack already used, and he does have Pop Goes the Weasel and Eruption, so that can also lead to further regression. The chases now need to be quick, they need to be fast, they need to be swift. All of those 3 in that order. Obi also knows that the potential for decisive strike is out, right? There's no more anti-tunnel that can be allowed. So what can happen is that he can just freely go for whoever he wants at this point. It seems like, yeah, he's gonna go for Manu over here, who is already first hooked. The 2 survivors over here are working on this generator. They did make it go to 50%, but they know that Pop Goes the Weasel and Eruption is still in play and is going to be up there, applied to that generator, kicking that. We saw that the Neo went for the quick pull onto the survivor over there, but will it be enough? They did save, so if the Dracula so chooses, they could go back and get another tunnel out, making it a 2v1. It seems like that is the plan, yes. Doesn't have any quick healing perks on the Nia, so that person is still going to be injured. Huge potential for a tunnel out, making it a 2v1, which is a really hard situation to get another generator done in. Will Obi go for Ada? It seems like he's just going to try to take a tag onto Zynox here. God, the 3 vaults right there. Absolutely wins that for them. Knows that the Renato is probably working on this generator still, yes, and its progress is coming along nicely, meaning that if they take the chase onto those survivors across the map, means that this generator will be getting done. Obi knows that and is spreading his attention nicely. Goes for a Hellfire hit there, is not able to get it. The reaction time on that is actually pretty easy for the survivors to know when it's coming. Tries to blind the wolf, it does not happen. Kicks the pallet. The survivor across the map does get healed. So now we're in this reset area where Obi needs to chase 3 survivors at the same time, or else they're just gonna sit on these gens and get them all done.
Yeah, and this is the difficult calculation that starts now for our killer, right? How many seconds can I spend in this chase? When do I need to return? And for the survivors as well, should we take an injury for a little bit of extra progress? How early should we leave? Should we double up a generator when he's going into a chase? All of these decisions are now going to play a huge part here. Obi scouting the area a little bit, expecting that a survivor is still here towards the edge, and that makes sense that he's searching that area, because if there would be a survivor going unnoticed in his bag and then he's falsely claiming that this area is cleaned and that there's no one working on a generator, that would also be really, really punishing. Next chase coming in with the Zynox here, a common ladder grinder. So let's see the 1v1. That's going to be an injury right here. Hopefully he can make a little bit of a longer run, but Obi already turned his back onto Zynox, has to go back, and we see exactly why. Significant amount of progress in this generator. Daimao is around, left the hill early, sprinting away. That forces Obi to check on the other generator as well, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get an injury. Zynox facing the bad form here, reads the killer movement, but then has to dodge the Hellfire, does that successfully, and once again we see the survivors going edge map, but this time in exchange for generator number 5. Very, very well played. This is going to be an unfortunate news. It is the fresh hook that we have here, but I still feel like the survivor team can be happy even if he's dying. We're talking about 9 stages if I'm not mistaken, which would be a little bit below the average of 9.3 stages, and you can certainly do it. Sending your killer into the next trial, saying 9 stages on 4 survivors is definitely nothing horrible on the Dark Lord, but Ray, it seems like we are seeing a return here.
Yeah, definitely, especially because this was this team's killer's pick. So you might say, hey, they picked this killer, they're confident, they might have really good survivor practice against this killer as well. So this could be anyone's game. You said this is the average result. So it could go good, it could go bad, it could be won or lost by 1 stage. Though it seems that the survivor here was a little bit too greedy. The door opens across the map, so they know exactly where they are. Ooh, this could be rough. However, if Zynox dies in basement, I still believe that is better than going for this Ada. It seems that getting kind of greedy. They do have Renato here. Will it be enough? Will it be enough? Will it? Oh my god, it might be enough. Oh my god. Get the heal tech in time. It's not in time. Flashlight save. He doesn't do it. Oh my god,
No.
that is actually crazy clutch coming in last second there. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a ping thing, but tried to heal tech, but the killer was able to just get the grab. This is the best case scenario right here. Dies on hook. Survivor in basement also dies. Was any hook stages onto Daimo? I believe at least 1. So that's 10 stages.
1, yeah.
That's 10 stages. That's a really good result for the Dark Lord, especially with that start. The survivors were playing so well and organized. So the killer next game is basically, I'm not going to say he needs to basically 4K, but he needs to basically 4K.
Yeah, we need to be really, really close to it. I feel like 9 stages would have been a little bit easier to achieve, because then you essentially need 3 kills, which you can certainly do. And if you spread it on the 4 individual fresher, that would have been all fine then. But now with 10 stages on all 4 survivors, this also unfortunate move at the end, which is certainly going to push the killer's team a little bit. So they are going to feel absolutely great there. I don't know. I feel like Synapse definitely giving a little bit too much to Obi here. They will profit from this. They will feel really, really nice. So we have to see what they are doing on the upcoming trial. But I agree with you. Basically, we are now talking about a needed 4K, and that is well above the 9.3 stages that we're talking about in average. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's press our thumbs and hope that the 4K will be possible. We will show you the second trial on the family residence right after this short break.
Welcome back, guys.
Everyone. Yeah, I knew that is going to happen because we didn't discuss the intro rates.
I know! I waited extra long, but it got awkward. I'm sorry. Here, let me take this one. You took the last one. Welcome back, guys. We have taken a moment. We have switched sides, and now we have Zynox playing the Dark Lord. This was, oh my god. Who picked this? Who picked this again? It was Calamity. Calamity picked this, so now we have Synapse playing killer. They have to beat a 10 stage against the survivor team, man. I feel like the Calamity survivors are always just insane. So that is a tall order to get. You basically have to 4K. 10 stages is such a weird thing to have to beat. So Zynox is gonna have to be on his A game. This is the exact same spot that they chased in last game. It seems that Doc also wants to last a little bit, but that first down comes through quicker than it did in the previous games. The survivors are working on generators and not a single one gets done. This is a little bit different, although this one's very close. It might get pain resonanced. We'll see, is Doc gonna be able to get to the hook in time? Oh, it's gonna be close. No, the generator gets done. So first generator, first hook, close to what it was similar last game. We'll have to see if the survivors are gonna be able to meet or beat this result. I'm not entirely sure. This hook location is also different, somewhat similar, but oh man, taking a tag right there as well. The quick save happens. This is a lot of chaos from the very beginning of the game.
A lot of chaos indeed, and that can quickly flip against the survivors if you're not watching out, especially with the double injury here. If the Wolfie is turning into a machine, you might find yourself on the ground quicker than you are expecting. The good news is Doc already rotated away. We are seeing the reset in the distance, so that's also going to be safety for the survivor that had already been hooked so far, and that's going to be the chance where you can make a difference compared to the previous trial. If you're not losing a survivor during the mid game, if you have all 4 individual survivors attacking the generators, then you can fix them quick like a rocket here. And with the hex totem being gone here, you definitely take an advantage for yourself as well. Zynox is trying to find the totem destroyer, following them right away into the main building, and Doc trying to stay healthy for as long as possible. He would be on the second stage, does a good job here, but then unfortunately vaulting into the killer kinda, so that's going to be the injury. Will he be able to find a pallet? The answer is yes on this filler pallet here. Difficult mind game now with the Dracula. On which side are we going to end up? Doc staying the winner on this one, but then he vaults. Wolfie action coming out, but it is going to be the destruction of the pallet. So we have a great chase actually that is taking quite some time. We see it on the left side, Pedro almost on his solo generator, facing the completion soon. My question is what Marco is doing, since he's not progressing a generator at the moment. The down is coming through right now. He's lurking there. Is that probably setting up for the save already? Interesting decision here by our Calamity team.
Yeah, that down actually took quite a long time as well. So Marco has just been sitting here, not really doing a whole lot. They do get another generator done. This one is about 40% as well. But it seems like the generators are just a little bit sluggish compared to the very first game. If I was a killer, I would be pretty happy with this. Doc is on second stage as well. We haven't seen the decisive strike. The killer knows that even if Doc gets saved, if they can catch them before they hop into a locker, that is the potential for a very, very early elimination, earlier than the last game. But the map is seemingly a little bit more split than the last game as well. So the end game might be a little bit more difficult. What they need is just going for some really good Hail Marys, really good quick fast chases. I know I say that a lot. That's what the killer needs. But you know, sometimes it doesn't happen. Also, Hex Wretched Fate did get cleansed, so that is one perk that is down. However, it doesn't really matter because Doc is the one up on hook. I don't think I've seen that perk actually get cleansed this entire season. Oh, tries. I can't believe that the Needle is able to skinny her way on in there. Does go in. It is a down. The thing with the Dark Lord is, though, even if he takes the time to get this hook, yeah, he can turn into a bat and catch up to Doc. So 1-for-1s are really not that punishing. He does make it all the way over to Shaq, but let's be real, it's still the Dark Lord. He's still a menace. Ah, look at that. Yeah, there we go. Decisive strike, fourth locker. That will be Doc able to use that. Throwing Shaq pallet, putting a huge barrier between him and the killer. Will Dracula decide to try to vault? Yes, indeed, it seems so. But puts himself on the other side, zoning the Jake on this side of the map. Potentially able to get this down a little bit quicker. Does go into the wolf form. Tracking makes it a little bit faster. You grab those scent orbs. And it seems that Doc is Yeah, he's probably gonna eat it right here. Another generator gets done. That will be one survivor out of the game. That other one that is being doubled is about 50% though. So if the killer can get over there and apply pressure, it seems like they're in a really good spot considering they already have hook stages onto Rocket and Marco. That is another potential tunnel out target. So that 4K is not completely out of reach, but the killer needs to stay organized and aware of where the survivors are, because we've seen top tier teams completely just obliterate killers in the 3v1.
Yeah, let's see how they are forcing the generator pressure in this difficult situation when you're playing on 3v1. So far, it looks quite good. Rocket has quite some progress over there, but it is going to be the down now onto Marco. It is not going to be the slug, so it feels like our killer feels he has a little bit of extra time, and he might be right with that calculation. Important is that you go to the correct generator after this. If you would go to Pedro first, then Rocket is potentially going straight back onto the generator here, and that's going to be the case though. We do have a little bit of a kick here, but is it going to be enough to stop generator number 5? It is in the main building. We have the bat form, ladies and gentlemen. Is Batman able to save the gen like a superhero? The answer is yes, for now at least. Pedro had to move away, but already the rescue in the distance, meaning that all 3 survivors are back and available, and that's going to be the hellfire here. Pedro taking the injury. Difficult mind games now. This is really not the strongest palette, as the game designers here on this palette had a very bad day when they designed this tile. It is going to be the W holding strategy, instead trying to waste as much time as possible. An impressively long chase, I must say, for the horrible palette we've been in, and that Ray results in the final generator.
That is the final generator indeed, and that will be potential for these survivors to be able to get out. Pedro is only worth 3 stages, and like you said, you needed to meet 10 to tie, 11 to beat. The previous game had some really unfortunate end game scenario, so the killer needs to force exactly just that. It seems like Rocket is playing a little bit aggressive here as well. We know what happened last game, but you know, maybe he wants to make a recreation, a reenactment, if you will. Because Dracula is over here, and now he's on the chase with Marco. Maybe they knew that the bat form is just going to apply so much pressure, and that will be Marco on the ground. It's still not enough if you just kill Marco, though. Zynox knows that and is going back into the bat form to try and gain quite a bit of distance and try. Maybe he's looking for Claudette, who he thinks is going to try to stealth and go for the save onto Marco while Pedro opens the door. Instead, just beelines for the door. It has quite a bit of progress on that. Needs to get some more downs incredibly fast. Looking around, maybe looking for a stealthy survivor. Who is hiding around here? It's not Claudette. She's going all the way back for Marco. It seems that Pedro got away scot-free. Yeah, he was able to create a whole bunch of distance between him and the door. So by the time Dracula got over there, he was just completely gone. Instead of opening the door again, it seems that they're deciding to just try to go for the other door. Pedro will be opening that. He's worth 2 stages. If both Marco and Rocket get found and downed, that will be the tie. However, it seems that Rocket has created so much distance that, yeah, this will just be the end right here. If these 2, Pedro and Rocket, get out through the door, that means that this set will be won by Calamity.
That is going to be very well deserved here, as they are now leaving this stage. Congratulations to Team Calamity for getting a little bit better when we're talking about the stages. 8 on 4 for Team Synapse, 10 on 4. So not the biggest win, I would say. Synapse can definitely use that to say, well, we are close to Calamity. We can keep up with the pace. We can use that for the second set. The difficulty is, though, when we are looking at the picks and bans that we had for today, that we now have the Leatherface. And as you mentioned earlier, Ray, it is an absolute roller coaster. Everything can happen on the Baba. I think even an Oracle could not tell us how this is going to go. So we're going to set up the Alive Cat Saloon, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be back for you right after this very short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Alive Cat Saloon with the one and only. And I'm not talking about Manu. Manu, you are great as well. But the Leatherface being on the comp stage is a bit more important here. And we already have the first survivor. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. With the chainsaw here in the water tower. I'm so excited for this set. You do not believe it. And it might be the down. Is it going to be the one? No, just 1 millisecond missing. And that's also going to be the stun, and that means that Pedro is getting enough distance into safety. Manu now, after his absolute adrenaline rush with the chainsaw, needs to make sure that he's setting back for himself and finds a good survivor to chase, because Ray, we talked about it, Dead Dog Saloon is not going to be very easy. The main building, very tricky. The houses sections, a lot of windows over here that can be difficult, and yeah, so hopefully our Leatherface is not going to take too long, but if the survivors are playing this right and using their resources well, they should be doing a good job.
Yeah, that greed on that first chainsaw there, instead of actually just going for an M1 hit, I was incredibly surprised because the pallets on this map are very, very dense. It's very rare that you're just going to get a chainsaw out in the open against these really good players. There are tons of pallets. They're not super, super safe, but they're not chainsaw-able, right? You're just basically forced into M1s most of the time. So I was just incredibly surprised. It's an incredible greed. And you can already see the consequences of that action, right? Pedro gets away scot-free, gets the stun, runs all the way into the inside of the map where there's tons more pallets and all of these playable tiles for the survivors to play with. Even if you spend all the time breaking all of these pallets with the chainsaw, it is still humongous time wastings. Humongous, huge time wasters. Basically, you're not getting it down in a timely manner. Although it seems like Hein, oh man, I was gonna say he's running out of resources. Just kidding! It's the Dead Dog Saloon. Over here on Gallows, there are so many resources. Will it happen? Will a chainsaw happen? Oh my god, it really seems like it will. Incredible, insane, and it happened before 5 gens. Just in time to get it down before the 5th generator, or the 1st generator, sorry. So yeah, that's great. That's actually incredibly good. I feel like the statistics for Bubba are incredibly low, so it down right there is actually fantastic. This is a great spot for the killer to be in. First stage, 2 generators done. Who cares, man? You still got that down. That's already doing better than the worst performance that we have seen so far. So, and a lot of pallets are gone on that side of the map as well. Takes that hook, so if a survivor wants to go in, they are also risking getting a chainsaw. And I think the killer knows that. They can play a little bit looser with their pathing, because if they can make it back in time, then it's still a potential for a chainsaw down. And you know the survivors do not have any perks. They don't have a way to get out of theirs. There's no decisive strike. There's no off the record. There's no exhaustion perks. So that survivor is just completely naked, if you would say. They'll jump in this locker, maybe they're just gonna waste a little bit of time, but they are definitely going back up on that hook.
Yep, Hein going down now here, and that is a little bit of karma as well, because our filthy survivor here is violating the name rules, or the roster rules of DBDLeague. A juicy black card coming out of that. We do not allow laugh here in our organization. We are in Comp DBD after all, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to remember that. Baba here with an absolute danger coming out for Rocket, and he's jumping out a little bit too early. Actually, I don't have a confirmation on it yet, but I heard that the timing on it slightly changed in one of the recent updates. And I can imagine when you're playing with muscle memory since 1730, or basically since Columbus was going around the globe, if you're practicing the locker jump since then, and you have it deep in your soul, it can be a little bit tricky. So Rocket here definitely taking the down. Manu scouting the area a little bit, expecting that someone might be still hiding here, especially these bushes with a dark outfit are very, very common for the players to hide in, and Pedro is proving my point. Thank you for that. Very risky move, but it can be a lot of reward, because now basically Manu is thinking that the Gallows area is clean, but we are straight back towards one of the generators, so that can actually be a really good move for the survivor team. Manu here trying to go for the next survivor, back and forth on this little mini shack that we have here. Going to be a difficult tile for Marco to run. Volt inside of it, Volt out, and unfortunately not in time. I was thinking for a moment he played that well, and I think he did. He wasted more time than expected, but the down should be in time to stop that final generator.
Yeah, definitely should. But you know, how much regression are you really going to get? I mean, there are 4 survivors up. They're working on 2 different generators. It seems that this last generator is definitely going to come through, but how many stages is this killer going to get before then? Hein is on death hook. So if he's out of the game, that could make endgame impossible to play as well. There are no exhaustion perks, so even if you gain this huge amount of distance, there's no balanced landing, there's no sprint burst, there's no live. You are definitely going to be caught out eventually if the Bubba commits to you. Is it going to be a swing through this pallet? It is not. Rocket makes a decision to throw it down, buying some more time. A little bit of a mind game here. Am I going to break the pallet? Am I not? Rocket is still a good pick. He's not the best pick, because Rocket has only been hooked 1 time. So he is worth 2 more stages, and it is Bubba. You're not saving against a Bubba. Although it would be ideal to find and get Pedro, but the survivor team knows that, and they're probably telling Pedro to make himself scarce. It is a little bit harder to find him, especially with that brown colored jacket. It is so blendable on this map that it's very hard to spot him out. So I don't know if even this killer should take the time to look through every tiny little bush to try and find Pedro. Marco here is still also a really good pick. Going for this greed, I think, is actually pretty healthy, because if you get this down, you go back, you pick up Rocket, place him on hook, come back, pick up Marco and place him on a hook. I mean, Rocket was picked, but even though it was a Rocket pick, this is still not a bad down, because Marco is still worth the same amount of stages, and now he's in the corner of the map. Granted, I don't think any survivor is going to be, they're not risking it. They're not gonna go in and try to save against a Bubba. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6 stages, I believe. 6 stages, 3 fresh. That is a pretty healthy result for Bubba on the Dead Dog Saloon, if I do say so myself.
It is a good day for the Bubba fan club. It is a good day for comp overall, and it is I actually don't know if I can call this a good result, Ray. You know, like on every killer I'm not, because I don't know what's about to happen in the upcoming trial. I feel like on so many killers we have an average and we have a feeling, you know, when we are loading in with a nurse, I feel like a 4K is possible, 9 stages would be a great survivor result. If you have a friend, like, they have a very clear idea. But I feel like on Bubba, if we are loading into the next trial and we have a sad survivor being a little bit unaware where the killer is coming from in the first 20 seconds, and we have an unexpected down, then it can go so downhill. And on the other hand, I feel like it can also go super downhill for the killer. So I feel like 6 on 3 is all right. It's a good result. But especially when we are talking about the top 6, I have no idea where to rank that. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. It's a little bit difficult, especially with that first game as well. We had no idea going in, and honestly, it was super close. There was like a couple of decisions that could have been a 4K, a win for either side. So really, it's gonna be, I don't know. It really is just like the smallest mistakes can lead to like the hugest snowballs, right? If anybody goes for the save a little bit too early or a little bit too late, it can result in Bubba getting some chainsaw downs. In that corner, there was no pallets whatsoever. So if the Bubba happened to be even a little bit closer, that could have been 2 downs right there. It's a very precarious situation. The survivors not having any sort of perks, nothing to rely on whatsoever besides their skill in looping and their map knowledge. Dead Dog is mostly a static map. It does have some RNG factors that goes into the pallets, but there is a very, very good way to play it. We'll have to know, or we'll have to see if these survivors know exactly what they're doing. This wasn't their pick, so they might not have too much of practice on it. You did say that the teams did pick these last night, so let's just hope that these survivors are good and practiced up in Chase in general to be able to beat this result of 6 stages and 3 fresh. Now, if you're the Killer Dyer, what do you think you're going to be trying to do?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, right? I feel like what we have seen in the beginning of the last game, and we are talking about what are you trying to do now in the upcoming trial, I feel like the aggression that we had wasn't the worst. Picking one of the, like, sometimes we see that leather faces, that sometimes also the weaker killers, they have a tendency to look around the map first, investing a little bit of time into that, and then deciding, okay, this survivor is in such a bad spot, I'll go for that. And here we have seen Manu straight up first survivor, no time investment into finding someone else, no deeper consideration, no deeper analyzing of the situation, straight and aggressive after one survivor. And it was actually so close on the pallet next to the water tower. And if that aggression pays out, you have a fantastic early game for yourself. And I feel like 6 stages is definitely not a lot, especially because the Leatherface is also someone who can really camp a fresh hook at the end. So we, in worst case, need to already calculate with 3 stages just for the end game.
Yeah.
So I feel like the aggression can be a good factor here. On the other hand, obviously, if you just blindly pick one survivor and then this survivor is juicing you, there's the downside, then you are just somewhere on the map, and these survivors are getting the gens ready left and right. But if this aggression turns out, then it is going to be good. And I also think that an aggressive Leatherface is more what we all want to see. So hopefully we are going to see exactly that. It will be also a trial that very heavily relies on the 1v1s that we will see. Yeah, so let's see. We have Karma, Manu, Zynox, and Fabra on the survivor side. Obi is ready here. 6 stages in the previous trial, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, Ray. It is going to be so exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad you're excited, because Obi needs to do something crazy here, because the first chase is absolutely where it matters. Using Deadlock as well, that is a perk that has been unbanned for this season. It makes it so when a generator gets done, another generator is blocked, the one with the most progress, for 25 seconds. It could be a fantastic time waster, and I'm really surprised we didn't see it in a previous game with the Leatherface, because it's really good if you want to camp out stages. Something that lower tier killers tend to do a lot more often, because committing to chases is often a huge time waster. We can already see that their survivors know exactly what they're doing. They're not just gonna fall over and give you the free win. No, dude, you are gonna have to work for it. The pallet spawns are pretty easy to see from a distance as well. So the first chase is definitely going to be taking a little bit of time. Oh, but Karma there does not throw the pallet in time. It does take a hit right through it. Trying to play this pallet a little bit. However, now you are injured, meaning that it's going to be, oh my god, you know, I completely spaced out right there. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult to try to live against this killer, because now you're unwinnable. Tries to take a body block hit. Is it gonna be enough? Oh my god, I cannot believe that was enough. That was so risky. That could have been the golden ticket for the killer right there. Getting 2 of those downs right there early game would have been huge, except yeah, you're injured. So now you just take another M1 hit. This is truly a good early first down. 1 generator gets done. Is that 2 or is that just 1? That is 2 generators that are 99%, but guess what? Deadlock is in play. That generator, wait, no, that was just 1. Okay, yeah, that was just the 1 generator. It was doubled up. 1 gen done. Another one that is blocked for 25 seconds. Obi's gonna take the time to go over there and investigate, but this is still a pretty good spot for him to be in. There wasn't as much generator progress done in this game than there was previously. So it seems that maybe he can chunk through these stages and get better than a 6-stage 3 fresh. Maybe.
Yeah, we really need something to get going, exactly something like this. Karma down onto the floor, and I was thinking our Leatherface now absolutely losing his mind here and slugging, but he just wanted to get rid of the pallet over there. It is good though, because Karma is going to have the second hook stage here, so potentially we see a whole different style and elimination way earlier than in the previous one. And this is really the chance, and then holding maybe even the generators, something that you didn't rely on so much in the previous one as well. So we are having a little bit of a kick here in the Gallows area. We see wonderfully there's a second generator close by as well. The water tower is not too far, so it could all be very much worse. Over here with the mind game, the pallet is going to be dropped though in time, and Karma now on the run for his life, and actually he is going to be downed straight away again in the shack. And the question is, ladies and gentlemen, will that be a decisive strike? And then we all remember, no, there won't, because we have no perks for any safety and for any second chances on the Leatherface. So Karma has to face his karma and say goodbye after a well done chase here by our killer, and that's now going to be significantly more dangerous for Synapse. And Ray, another problem is Synapse has picked this set. They said the Leatherface is something where we can be strong against Calamity. The Leatherface is someone where we feel very confident, and now you're playing with only 3 survivors with 3 generators still standing. I think you have to play a little bit like a miracle.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a rough start. The chases were just not happening. They were just not long enough. And it was always just the difference of 1 second making it to a pallet, making it somewhere safe, but it did not happen. And that will be the downfall right here as well. This fast vault with Bamboozle with no pallet right here could result in another down, and it really does seem so. We haven't even seen anybody looping at main building either. So this is just, this is going to be such a tragedy right here. They have another fresh hook, and it's 3 generators remaining. Meaning if the killer just sits here and camps it out, even with deadlock in play, there's just no way in time they're going to be able to do anything. Of course, Obi, I would absolutely agree this as well. Play it not so safe. It's not like as if there's $10 billion on the line here. You can definitely go out and search for these survivors. Are they working on generators? I mean, they should. They should definitely be working on generators. Is there one right up here? The save does happen all the way over there. The killer knew that they were around, but man, there's so many bushes on this map. It is difficult to just find every single person. Does find out the survivor working on the other side of the map. These generators are actually not too far apart right here. So if the killer really, really wanted, they could also just get it down over in this side of the map and just sit here and camp. I mean, honestly, at this point, you could just camp and win no matter what, because there's no way all of these survivors are getting this much progress done in that amount of time, especially with deadlock in play and a potential Scourge Hook Pain Resonance that can happen onto this Lara. Look at that patience at that window, though. Trying to waste as much time as humanly possible. I mean, if they take this killer on an insane wild ride of a chase, then yeah, they're still actually going to win. But I can't believe that they're actually going to try to go for it. Pallet right here, you know, if they don't go down, it breaks with the chainsaw. Is this going to be enough distance for the survivor to not get hit? I think they make it. Ghost West, I gotta miss! And Zynox not taking a hit right there. If the survivors play this actually insanely safe and they don't go down any more times, then this could be a win for their survivor team. That would be huge.
That would be huge indeed. Synapse is absolutely activating the juicer mode. It feels like you need to take one team member away from them. So they are getting angry and activating here. This pallet is not going to be a good one. So it's totally understandable why Fabra is heading straight towards the window here. but basically after you drop this pallet and then vault it, you are locked in and you can be hit through the fence nearby. Fabra, regardless of that, going down, pallet is not going to be utilized. Manu is still injured. We don't see the reset, which makes a lot of sense since we are having a Chainsaw Anderson running after the survivors, and we see that someone is dropping very early here from the Gallows area. Yeah, Fabra needs to be saved by all costs, basically. And we need to make sure that we are getting more stages in, but you could, in worst case, just go for the face camp here. That would be absolutely fine, but I feel like Obi even starts looking a little bit towards a 4K potentially on the horizon, since he successfully eliminated one survivor already, and I feel like this is definitely realistic. Synapse will need some additional good chases with a lot of time waste if they want to take the escapes here.
Yeah, they definitely do. It seems that they're not giving it to the killer for free, though. Fabra is working on a generator somewhere on the map, and it's going to get done. Their chases have been phenomenal, though it seems like they're running out of resources, so they need to play a little bit more safe. Does take the chase over to the main building. Oh my god, they get a fast vault there. That is incredible pathing. Incredible pathing right there. I didn't even know it was possible to get a fast vault like that, but they just did it. I bet that's just like pixel perfect button pressing right there. It seems that Obi is now in a predicament, right? They need to get at least one more stage to tie. God, it seems like the survivors will be out of position, though. Even if they throw this pallet, yeah, you do delay it for at least a little bit longer, but look at that. Yeah, this pallet's gone as well. It really seems like this is the end of the line. They did a really good job, and they fought well and hard, but that first chase needed to not be as long as it was. Or it needed to be longer than it was. It needed to not have those downs happen as quick as possible, because I feel like this was completely winnable if that didn't happen, which is a little bit sad. Ugh, yeah, right there. It gets grabbed out of the locker. This hook stage right here will be confirming basically the win, because if the killer just sits there right at hook, revving his chainsaw, you are not allowed to self-Kobe in this tournament. So the killer is just gonna be sitting right underneath there. Although, oh my god, Obi wants the 4K. He wants the 4K. He wants his dues. He wants it rightfully earned. Is Shack Pallet still up? No, it has been thrown. There are no perks available, so Unbreakable is not allowed. So you can chase the survivor for as long as you want. But it's not very long at all, is it? Gets that down, gets that pick, gets that survivor up on hook. Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing a 4K on Bubba in DBDLeague. Very well played by Obi, able to capitalize on the survivor's mistakes and mispositionings. Will be awarded with the 4K1.
Absolutely well done, ladies and gentlemen, from the Leatherface Association. It's time to raise our Baba banners, our flags, and celebrate that we have such a wonderful result here. And this is also a signal for the other teams. Pick more Leatherface and not the Dark Lord on Family Residence 2.
Please.
We need more Leatherfaces like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I cooked something in the background because you heard it. I'm very excited for the Leatherface. So you are going to hear the very first Leatherface poem that was ever told in DBDL. Unfortunately, I'm not the quickest, so my poem only has 2 lines. Which should also prove that it's not from ChatGPT because it took so long. And it's not the best, but what I cooked up is Baba took you on the floor, his chainsaw making loudly roar. And with that, we go on the break, ladies and gentlemen. See you after this. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to what's potentially the last set for Team Synapse in the winter circuit. They are down by 2-0 against Calamity here. And we talked about it during the break. If you did your homework and if you're researching Team Calamity, then the Blight and Obi should be something standing out. So it would actually justify a ban. So we can only hope, since Synapse didn't do that, that they have something very fancy prepared on the survivor side. First down is coming out relatively quickly here. That was just 38 seconds into the game. So very, very quickly we see it here. The survivors are just getting onto the generators and starting to spread up, discussing what generators do we want to discuss early, progress early here. The good news is corrupt intervention is gone.
Yep, that's a good news. That's good news. That down did happen fairly early, but we do have to keep in mind that this is an S tier killer. However, you were speaking on it and saying they must have something cooked up, because we know that Obi plays a mean, nasty Blight. We already saw that from that very, very early down. So, sorry, that was just, okay. I don't know what he was doing there, bud. But we know that Obi has incredible experience on this killer, able to get really quick downs, able to pressure the map very well. Look at that, we have perks again. Fantastic, going from Bubba then straight into Blight, where you get the least amount of perk bans. We can already see that Karma here is lurking, going for that last second deliverance save. It doesn't seem like it's going to be for absolutely free. It's definitely going to be a 1-for-1. So that will be Karma placed upon the ground. Will they take the time to hook? It doesn't seem so. Just going straight for the Nancy. Uses live to get a bit of distance. However, we can see that Nancy doesn't have decisive strike. It is a little bit of a mind game not putting decisive strike onto live, but I'm gonna be honest, that is just kind of, it's just not working out, because now the killer knows that this Nancy is a prime tunnel out target, and we saw the way that Obi was sitting right there next to the hook. We know that that is Obi's plan for certain. Look at that, just wins that 50-50 mind game. Obi has just got so much experience on this one killer right here. Even if you don't play a lot of public games, you just are in the mindset of a comp player and really know exactly what they're thinking. You're getting in their heads, you know what kind of move that they're going to be making, and it seems that Obi does have that experience outplaying these survivors. It seems like it's not even a 50-50. It's like a 90-10 in favor of him. He's able to get these hits so very often that it seems like he's just incredibly in his element. That will be a kick onto that generator right there. Placing Eruption, that is a ban that is not in place during this season either. You're allowed to run Pop Eruption once again. Another tag happens to Daimao. It isn't a 1-for-1, but that still is not going to be enough, because we know that this survivor here is a tunnel out target. With the hug tag gone, it's a little bit harder to slide past those objects. Your hitbox as a Blight is a little bit bigger, but it's just delaying the inevitable. This Nancy is definitely going to be taken out of the game momentarily. Has live that will create a bit of distance, but the Blight has some sort of built-in live himself. Oh, goes for another swing right there, but is not able to connect. Even though the Nancy doesn't have a lot to work with, she is still able to buy a little bit of extra time. Regenerators get done. I will say that's a best case scenario to come out of this situation that the survivors are in.
Zynox straight back onto the hook. We're saying goodbye to the first survivor. You talked about it, prime target for tunneling earlier. It is so important that these so important that these killers are removing one of the survivors from the trial as early as possible as well. We are having 2 generators still standing, so he is definitely in time for that. Daimao is going down onto the floor here, so that's going to be on the next hook. Karma has a generator on 50%, so there's definitely something happening on the generators, and there is something on the survivor set going on for them. We have some positive aspects here. The only thing that I'm worried about now, with Manu also taking the trade here, is there enough time overall? Because we are just having a Blight that is very, very dangerous. I was thinking at the beginning, actually, when he slugged, if he was taking the role model from the team China that we had in this tournament, because on Fractured Cowshed they absolutely demolished a team with a 4K on 4K on 4 generators still standing with a very aggressive slug. from the get-go. So it was, I think, even all generators still standing. Thank you for the correction there, Toby, our tournament analyst. So not a single generator being done. And I thought, like at the very beginning, did Obi take Team China as a role model? Well, he lost a few generators here, but he's playing this trial regardless of that very, very well. The survivors are absolutely under control of the killer. They don't decide what's happening here. They're constantly struggling. And now after losing the team member, what's starting to happen here is constantly one survivor on the hook in best case, one survivor saving, and the third one is already back into a chase. So to get any gen progress done is breaking out of this hamster wheel. Right now we have a chance like this. We actually have 2 healthy survivors, but this means at the same time that Daimao has an extreme responsibility to make this a long chase. Unfortunately, it is going to be the injury. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, if he's able to run a little bit longer. He's going against this rock here, hiding.
Oh my god!
Oh, he does actually pull the most unexpected edge map play here. And that is a good chunk of 10 to 15 seconds. But wow, that was so well played. Alone for that, they deserve an additional generator, if you're asking me, just for that move.
Oh yeah, just for that move. A little bit of crouch tech right there, making your hitbox smaller. It is a little bit harder to hit somebody as Blight because your camera is locked straight forward when that happens. Oh, a really good sniff out by Obi right there. We'll be rewarding a down into Manu. That's actually huge because now Obi has the potential to just find and sniff out Ace, who he knows was working all the way over here. This generator did it, bro. Oh, they decide to pop it. You know what? That's actually a really, really good decision because that means that this is about a 4K1. Although the Ace does still have deliverance, but the killer probably knows that because they were the first person who took a 1-for-1 down. The Unbreakable may or may not have been used. I'm not entirely sure. We will have to see what will happen with this scenario right here. Will the killer decide to stick around and wait for the deliverance play and instead let the survivor on the ground bleed out? I don't know. The killer seems to just be leaving. Oh my god, do they not have
toxic?
Oh wait, no, there we go. No, wait, yes, no, maybe. Do they know? I think they know, but they're just letting it happen. I'm not entirely certain why. I mean, if it was me, I would just be sitting at the top of those stairs. You're not getting out of here, buddy. Although, I don't know, dude.
He actually got it.
Yeah, there's a deliverance. I don't know why he decided to just let that happen for free. Maybe he was just super confident. I mean, Daimao does die on hook, so it is just a 2v1. Right here, we're just kind of prolonging the game. Question marks? Yeah, Karma, you stealth and you get that save. Yeah, go take him on a juicer chase. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Karma's going to 360 twice now, and then, okay, never mind.
Yep.
There was hope for a short moment. There was a ray of hope in the trial, but
I don't know if I'd say that, though.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd say that.
That's not enough for that. It is going to be tricky though now because Calamity doesn't need to have an escape in the upcoming trial, and it is the escape that Synapse so desperately need to make a move, pushing us into set number 4 and not saying goodbye in the winter circuit yet. But when Calamity is able to triple, double the final generator, even taking the downs and just smashing the final gen without worrying about escaping, that is such a comfortable win condition. Of course, there's still a lot of potential getting a 4K earlier than that. I feel like Synapse could even celebrate if they matched a 4K1 and then making sure that we are going into the 4th set for now. But I think giving the sign to Calamity, all of the gens are enough to make it into the top 4 is not really what they were trying to look out for. So the upcoming killer trial for Team Synapse is going to be a tricky one. Ladies and gentlemen, final chance for Synapse, big chance to Calamity to make it into the top 4. We will show you that upcoming trial in a few moments.
Welcome back, everybody. 4K1 was the result that we saw from Obi on Calamity last game against this team Synapse. Their killer needs to meet a 4K1 to be able to stay or beat with a 4K2. That is a tall order against an experienced team such as Calamity. They're going to need to get really fast early downs, and it seems like they haven't found anybody yet. I don't know if that's a precursor for the rest of the game, but it definitely isn't looking too good. Oh, right there does sniff out one survivor. Rocket, we know who Rocket is. He has played in DBDLeague, he has played in Ladder, he has done all these really good looping things. So finding that survivor first seems like a mistake, but let's be honest, a lot of these survivors out here are just fantastic at looping. It's really hard to pick out a weak link, especially there. We can already see the expert pathing. This Blight went multiple different ways, and guess what? The survivor wasn't in a path of any of them. They know exactly how to play these tiles, so it's going to be pretty difficult. Even then, Corrupted Invention has been in effect for more than half of its duration. So the time spent just looking and trying to find that perfect chase on that survivor who is out of position might not be it. You might just have to brute force, try to get these chases done as quick as possible. But look at that. Even right there, not in a good position to be able to get it down. It seems like these survivors are just doing such a good job of playing this early game. It is an S tier killer, meaning that the chases can go horribly wrong, super fast. But the survivors are not in a position to let that happen. This is a really good green start for Calamity. If they win this matchup, if they get all generators done, that is the goal, then they will be taking this this best of 5 and a 3-0.
3-0 is very close indeed. We are seeing it here. Hein, Marco, and Rocket absolutely juicing, and Pedro even gets into the locker in time. A few extra seconds is that costing here, and that might actually be the 2 generators in the distance being completed. 1 solo gen and 1 gen together. There we have 1, and Hein coming out with generator number 2 should be able to get that, even though we are getting over here. Hein taking the hit, but that is a very understandable trade. Generator for an injury. Yeah, we were wondering a little bit in the distance, or in the break, we could say, why Daimao is not taking the responsibility here on the Blight, but Manu now actually showing us that he can also apply pressure. Hein down onto the floor, slugged, staying slugged, as we are now going back straight onto Pedro here, trying to get the elimination in as quick as possible, getting Pedro into the second stage. Is he able to sneak away like that? It seems like the answer is yes. Pedro is not found behind the rock here. Manu taking one more look, and now, yeah, there is the head of Adam. Unfortunately, the hide and seek is ending right here. Injury coming out as well, but it costed a little bit of time. Hein is fully healed. Rocket is back on a generator, so it's definitely the beautiful dead out here as well. Raya was about to say it's definitely worth finding Pedro and getting him into the second stage, but not with such a time loss maybe.
Oh my god, yeah, the time loss is huge. This isn't the decisive strike survivor, so it's not going to be incredibly massive to try to get the survivor back up on the hook, but still, that dead hard buys him a lot of distance. The killer does have agitation, but it's not going to be enough to put somebody in the middle of the map. Oh my god, you can already see a survivor is lurking for the save right there. The survivor's planning ahead. It's definitely showing the level of skill and organization that they have. 2 generators are remaining. That means if they want to stay in this matchup, the killer can only let 1 more generator get done. But right now, they kind of have this decision. They need to camp and chase survivors off the generators at the same time, and they can't be everywhere at once. See, look at this. Already has a little bit of progress, applying pop eruption onto that generator. The save does happen to Pedro across the map, but they're really far away. The save does indeed the heal happens onto Pedro. We saw that he had the perk Resurgence, meaning that when he's pulled off the hook, he has a big chunk of his health bar already healed. I believe it's 70%, but I don't know the exact number. Marco comes in, takes that body block hit right there. I'm betting this is the Delhi Unbreakable survivor, so it's not a huge deal if they go down. They just need to last a little bit in chase, although this will be a swing and a miss. I swing and a miss. The survivors they're just crazy with their 1v1s right here. Even tries to use their dash. Oh, but it is successful. We do know. Oh my god, they use their unbreakable just to get another body block hit or just be a nuisance at least. Pedro does have dead hard. So the possibility of also taking another hit is still pretty high. Tries to go in. Oh, uses that dead hard. Oh my god, fantastic dash from there. That will be Pedro on the ground. No decisive strike to be had. That will be the elimination happening onto one survivor.
One survivor is going to say goodbye, but we are also saying goodbye to the dreams of Synapse, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what we talked about, Ray. This is what you can do when the win condition doesn't require you to escape. You can just take injuries, downs, and you can sell your hamster on eBay for the final generator. You can literally throw everything away. If you get the final generator that is totally worth this, Calamity got it, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter that Hein is going down. It doesn't matter who's walking out of the door. Calamity secured themselves the spot in the top 4. Congratulations. They are going to go against the winner of Oracle versus Sinners. We are having this game straight after this one, so in case your grandma is calling you for dinner, you better find an excuse because you don't want to miss it. And then the winner of Calamity and Oracle Sinners is then going against either Elysium or Eternal, who's dropping down there. And then we are now slowly progressing towards the crown of the Winter Circuit. Synapse, thank you so much for playing in the Winter Circuit. I think we can all agree that it was one hell of a blast to watch you guys, even though when you're looking on a 3-0 it feels bad on the first part and it feels like oof, Calamity has wiped them from the stage here. But yesterday against Severance, the underdog, the surprise coming out super strong, pushing it all the way into 5 sets, this was really entertaining. So absolutely well done. And Synapse, I think you can be very, very proud on yourselves. Calamity, you can be proud anyway. Top 4 once again, steady, reliable, and with a great performance. Calamity is definitely a team that you always have to count in for the top placements now. We will see if they can make the run through into the grand final potentially again.